Hi, it is Dr. Megan Burt and welcome back. I am so excited to bring you this video because, to be honest, this is a new topic for me. I have been in skincare for a while, and this actually explains a lot of my own skin challenges that I had years ago. But we are going to talk specifically about the moisture barrier in our skin. So I think that we just really need to look at our skin as a whole, our skin as an organ, and how best that we can support that, because I feel like we have two different thoughts. Number one, we just want this perfect skin and we want to use all the products we can to, force our skin to look a certain way. But we really need to work with our skin as an organ, and we need to support it because that's going to be the best and most healthy skin. I also want to say, because this is just who I am as a doctor, a chiropractor, and just to understand this, that even though we're talking about skin health and our moisture barrier, we also need to realize that there's a lot of times root cause things. Our skin can be off because of our diet, from a food sensitivity, from our microbiome, a gut issue. And so we want to make sure that we don't just gloss over that and look at this solely from an outside in approach. Well, I just need to put this thing on my skin and then I'm fine. We also need to look at our body from an inside out approach. So I have two podcasts, one on inside out skin health and one on things to put on your skin, the Just Enjoy Health podcast. You can find the episodes there. If you want to dig more into specifically, I would say the inside out, what supports your skin from the inside, and so that we express as healthy of skin as we can. So that is, once again, at the Just Enjoy Health podcast. But today we are going to talk specifically about this moisture barrier. What is it? So in our body are the layer of cells, there's a layer of cells on our epidermis, and they're held together in a lipid matrix. Think of it like bricks or like tile and grout. And so I love when we talk, I'm so serious about this. I love talking about cell membranes and the lipid content. I love learning about this and going, yes, you've got this fat layer, because our body from the outside in, we need good fats, we need saturated fats, we need super nourishing fats. So we need good fat for good skin. We need good fat for good cell membranes. But when I got back to the lipid matrix, I was like, oh, just love that. But if we also look at it from an outside in approach, we also need to make sure that we protect that lipid matrix. That's really our moisture barrier. We don't want to damage that. And it can be kind of easy to damage it because we can do it with products, and then we can get a little damage too, just from the winter to the summertime too. So the moisture barrier functions to maintain our skin's health, and we don't want it letting in bad things, because like I said, our skin is an organ, and so we have a layer of protection so that when we are walking outside, we don't have all of the pollutants that are being able to just absorb instantly in our skin. Our skin really has protective mechanisms, and so when we look at it as our skin as a whole and our skin health as a whole, what we're putting on our skin, think of that too. One thing, now, I'm part of Beauty Counter. Very specific what I put on my skin. I want to make sure is super healthy and it is clean. Our skin is an organ that absorbs things. So not every product or everything out there absorbs, but some things are absorbed within 20 to 30 seconds. And so we need to be very careful about what we're putting on our skin and making sure that it's safe and clean, because that is getting into our bloodstream and getting into our bodies. So we have that ability to protect, but things do get absorbed into that. So I just like that. I like looking at this, even though we're talking skincare, we're talking clean skincare, even from a functional medicine approach. We can apply this to health and skincare. We want our bodies to be strong enough and resilient enough to really protect ourselves against the onslaught of external forces, of pollutants, of toxins. And that's what the moisture barrier all over our skin, but we're really talking our face, right, does for our body. So we want to maintain that lipid protection, that lipid matrix, and we want to make sure that the good comes in, and we want to protect our skin too. So the more that we protect our skin, I honestly feel like the better our skin is going to be. We also have an acid mantle that sits on top that has to maintain its acidity and not break down. That's where bacteria can get in and a lot of acne can happen too. We're not going to really specifically talk about the acid mantle today. I just wanted to be aware of that because a lot of times harsh cleansers with pHs that are really high or something that's really low can throw off that acid mantle, leading to actually more problems and then throwing off the moisture barrier too. So we can damage the moisture barrier by doing too much for our skin. So I love this because even though I am in skincare and my routine sometimes seems anything but simple, yes, I've used quite a few products. A lot of times less is more, and especially when it comes to formulation of products. So yes, you can still use quite a few products, but you want to make sure that you're not using too harsh of products. Now, when we use Beautycounter products, I want to just put this out there, they are formulated to be gentle, to work with the body. A lot of the things that are going to massively break down the moisture barrier or really damage your skin are going to be things that they're not on our list, or they're on our never list, I should say. They're not in our ingredients, they're on our never list. They're things that we would never use. We are not going to use retinol. We are not going to use just chemicals in very high concentrations. We're not even going to use things that we allow in our products at super high concentrations that could be damaging to our skin's layers. So you know, first and foremost, starting out with Beautycounter, that you are going to have products that support the moisture barrier as much as possible, but we still have the potential to do too much and to throw off our moisture barrier, even with good products. But no, it's not going to be quite as common when using really great, clean, well-formulated products. I feel like as I was doing my research, when I saw people going, I threw off my moisture barrier, my skin was so irritated I could barely touch it. It's because they were using a lot of retinol in products, super harsh cleansers, acne products, things that were by prescription, and they were using way too much of it, and they were just going next treatment product, next serum, next active ingredient, and layering them all on together. So we want to make sure that we don't do too much of the skin. The area that we could do too much, even with good products, would be doing too many actives and over exfoliating, which I feel like one day, not too long ago, I was like, I'm going to take the most relaxing bath. I want to do a mask and do an exfoliator and do, I just did so much with my skin. Guess what happened? The next day I woke up with a pimple and I was like, oh, I did too much. So I threw my skin off a little bit. So we just want to make sure, oftentimes less is more. We want to cover our bases when it comes to putting together our cleanse, prep, treat, and protect steps. We can add our Counter Plus, our additives on there. We just don't want to be doing too much too often, because any products that are too harsh or too stripping can lead to breaking down that barrier function. And that's going to be a sign of your moisture barrier being broken down. Redness, inflammation, lots of breakouts, just irritated skin. Like I said, I had heard some people's stories that were like, I feel like I could barely touch my skin. The wind hurt my skin. The sun, my skin was super sun sensitive because they were doing too much to their skin. So we need to fix that skin barrier. How do we fix a moisture barrier? Well, we do not need more. We actually need less products. So another thing is, we can still throw off that. This is where I believe my skin went wrong. I did not use harsh products years ago. I actually didn't wash my face only until we're gonna get real here. So when I used to put my blush on, I used to put it up a little bit higher, and I put my blush up here, and I would wash my face when the blush started like building up here. I'm like, oh, I gotta get this off. Or like I couldn't just like do this and smear off my eyeliner. We were real low maintenance. I was really low maintenance back then. It was not good. But what I didn't protect my lipid barrier. So I didn't do too much. I did too little. So we can do too little for our skin also. So I was not, especially in the winter, I wasn't harnessing in moisture. So my skin was flaky, dry, and tight because I wasn't protecting it enough to hold in moisture. I wasn't using a moisturizer. So if we go to the other side, we get red, irritated, rough, and itchy, then we've damaged our moisture barrier. So you can go to the other side and not protect enough, but you can do too much. So how do we fix that moisture barrier? We want to make sure that we are using a good moisturizer so that we hold in the moisture. We want to do less products. Yes, still cleanse, still do your toner, still maybe do your serum, depending on it's a little more gentle. Like I said, Beautycounter is pretty gentle, but try it out. Then we want to do a moisturizer, making sure we do a PM moisturizer to really lock in that hydration and fix that lipid matrix. That is huge. Hyaluronic acid, because it adds in way more moisture. I think 9 times the moisture than like the molecule itself is even able to the size of it. Like it's great for helping that moisture retention. And so we just don't want that, we just don't want to be using too many actives. So like I said, Beautycounter does a really great job naturally to protect the moisture barrier. So once you have really laid off the actives, you have minimized your routine, you have built back up your moisture barrier, then you can add things in. What do you add in? How do you add in? So exfoliating, do not do that every day. Do not do it morning and night. Every few days you want to exfoliate. Gentle exfoliators. So I hope that Beautycounter has an exfoliator in the works, but right now what I use is Goop, G-O-O-P. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's company, their exfoliator. It's a very, very fine grain of an exfoliator. I also have a Foreo that's kind of like vibrates, it's silicone. It's very gentle exfoliator. Also, a Norwex body cloth has a texture that would be a nicer exfoliator. But if you're looking for a certain product, I really like the Goop exfoliation product. Super gentle. I was using another one, crystals, that I mixed with cleansing balm that I got from Amazon, but the crystals were really big and it hurt when I exfoliated, and I realized after doing this, I don't think that that's the greatest option anymore, because you're going to very easily over exfoliate, especially in more sensitive or oily skin. So you don't want to stack too many actives. So the overnight resurfacing peel is an example of an active product. The Albright C serum is an active product. I can use the overnight resurfacing peel about 5 times a week and get away with it with my skin. I have dry skin. It doesn't have massive quantities of actives, and I can do the Albright C serum every day. Not everybody can. So you have to figure that out for you. I would start with 2 to 3 times a week for the peel, and then you can do a little bit more with the Albright C serum than you can the peel. You want to make sure you lock in the water. Good moisturizer. And then no hot water. So don't do too much hot water that pulls, and that will strip your body of the moisture, especially in the drier winter when there's not as much moisture in the air and it's colder. You're really going to be battling that hot cold. So really wanting to focus in terms of maintaining the moisture barrier and locking in with a good night cream. You want a good you want a good moisturizer in the AM, but you want a really hydrating moisturizer in the PM. Maybe do cleansing balm on top to add some more hydration in there, and also antioxidants like vitamin C. So the Albright C serum, though a serum and an active, also works really well in helping harness that moisture barrier by adding antioxidants to it. So how long does it take to build up a moisture barrier once yours has been damaged? Well, it's going to depend on you, but what I found was somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the person. Listen to your skin, really figure that out. Because our winter, we have such dehydrated air, it's probably going to be a little bit harder in the winter. And then when you think about moisturizers and locking in moisture, you really want to go with a good product that is formulated for the skin. I want to say this because so many of you are really naturally minded and crunchy, and I get this used to be me, and I realized this was actually contributing more to my moisture barrier issues. I was using coconut oil as my moisturizer. That is not good enough. Now, you can use coconut oil and use like derivatives of it in skincare. That works really well. Our whole counter start go-to product line has coconut oil. There's a lot of coconut products, but actually coconut oil, think of it this way: coconut oil, olive oil, if you cook with it, the molecules are probably too big for your skin. And what it does is it sits on your skin and it actually clogs your skin versus allowing a lot of hydration and your skin to be able to kind of breathe and do its thing. It's really just clogging it. So if you can cook with it, probably should not put it on your face. It's just not going to be as good for your body as a whole. So using a great skincare product, a line like Beautycounter, is going to be great for that moisture barrier, not only healing it, but also maintaining a good moisture barrier.